I'm Logan Crawford, and right now we're taking a remarkable journey across the rugged and beautiful Australian outback with one of my favorite authors, one of my favorite guests. Her name is Mary Seaton, and she has penned a book you're gonna just love. It is called Me and Matilda. Set in the post-World War II era, this heartfelt novel follows Wally, a swagman who sets out on foot with little more than his dreams and a longing for peace. As he travels across the vast landscapes of Australia, Wally discovers love, resilience, and the healing power of the land itself. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us once again here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing books. The links are below the interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Mary, thank you so much for joining me once again here today on Spotlight.
Thanks for having me on the show.
My pleasure. Me and Matilda is part of a series, right?
Yes, it's the first three books were Mary of the Shanty and the Overlanders, and then The Ringer Jack.
Mhm.
And so Me and Matilda is number 4.
Okay.
So they're loosely connected books, but you can read them by themselves, you know.
Sure, they can be
They stand
standalones.
alone.
Yeah,
Yep.
without a doubt. They're all entertaining in their own right, and they all stand on their own, as you said. What is the common thread that ties the whole series together?
The people.
Yeah.
Um, I think in Mary of the Shanty was about a family who became a family in Victoria. And then when Jack went to Queensland to become a ringer in the top end, he met the Overlanders.
Hmm.
And so they became firm friends, and they were firm friends for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
So, and that's how they're all tied together, just
Wonderful.
because yeah.
Yeah. How much of Wally's story is drawn from real people or events?
Quite a lot of it.
Mhm.
Wally was well known to us, and he's dead now, of course. And so um, it was drawn from his life after when he got home from the war. He didn't settle in very well,
Hmm.
and so he decided to take on the life of a swaggy. And so uh, the stories are true. I know what happened because, like, you know, when we met him in the outback,
Hmm.
and he would sit at our campfire and tell us all his adventures and things like that.
Yeah.
And so I've always remembered them.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where I learned to be a storyteller, was around the campfires.
Well, that's a
And
good,
so, yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah,
a good,
Wally's story stood out to me because he was such um, um, a charismatic person, and he brought comfort and warmth wherever he went.
mm,
And so I guess what's drawn from real events is the actual stories. I think putting them together, I've had to do a little bit of inventive work, but I think that I did an okay job because I knew them so well.
yeah.
And so it was a work of love. It was a pleasure to do. And
Wonderful.
I do love to bring these characters to life in these books and introduce them to the world
Yeah.
because they were very special.
Yeah, and they have a legacy that way. They're immortal that way. You're preserving their memory and their legacy that way. I think
Yeah.
it's wonderful. Explain to the folks at home what a swaggy is. They might not be familiar with that in the States.
Well, the swaggy in America, I think, is a hobo,
Okay.
or you could politely refer to them as an itinerant labourer.
Hmm.
And by definition, he was a swaggy. Now,
Gotcha.
in Australia, uh, when a swaggy walks about the countryside, he's said to be waltzing. And so he waltzes along the tracks. And and the swag on his back is always referred to as Matilda. So it's his Matilda. And so that's where the song comes from. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
Oh, okay.
It was penned by Banjo Patterson. And so that's what a swaggy is. Walks about like Wally. But of course, you know, the times that I'm talking about, they're sort of like a dying breed. But I don't like to think of it that way. I prefer to think of it as a transformation. They've got themselves into vehicles, and so they no longer waltz. They sort of drive about, but they're still out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody, basically a wanderer, somebody who's a free spirit, somebody who just lives off the land in a way.
Well, yeah, everything they own is on their backs.
Yeah.
And that they're so self-sufficient. You know, they can find themselves something to eat. I mean, most of them stick to the rivers, and they carry fishing gear with them, and they get their own food. So their footprint is very small.
Right.
And Wally in his time cared about these things, about footprint, and everybody else didn't quite know what he was talking about, but he did. So
wonderful. Do you think Wally's story would make a good film? I think it'd be a great way to explore the outback, right?
Well, yeah, it'd be a great excuse, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be lovely. Yeah, I think it'd make a good film. Especially since they're all dragged into it, like the Mary the Shandy, they're all in it, you see, and the Overlanders, they're all in it.
Yeah.
And they all have a special part in it. And the Australian bush would be a wonderful backdrop. And it's a protagonist and an antagonist.
Yep, exactly.
It can be your enemy, it can be your friend, the Australian bush, and the elements.
Exactly. And it was a tougher journey back then. I mean, this was post-World War II. It's not like today where we all have telephones and GPS and all that stuff, right? Yeah.
It was bush telegraph back then.
Yeah, it
And it worked all right too.
What's that?
It worked all right too, the bush telegraph. It was unbelievable.
Amazing, amazing. So this is the fourth book in the series, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Are there books 5 or 6 coming? Tell us about that.
Oh, well, there will be, yeah. You can't stop me now. It's I think I'd like to go on with another 1 or 2 books. I'm having a bit of a break from it now. I'm writing something that's a work of fiction. And when I spent some time out in the Australian outback, because the Australian outback was my inspiration. And I spent some time out there a few years ago doing some work out there. And so I realised what it was that I loved about the place, because I hadn't been back there for years. And that's where I got the idea that I wanted to write a series of books about various people in different walks of life, and you know, with various occupations. And at first it was going to be a work of fiction. I was going to write fiction. Then when I sat down and thought about it, I thought, well, I've got enough material in my memory banks to write about real people and real stories in a real place. And so that's what I've tried to do.
Yeah.
Some of the books, as I say, some of the books I've had to cement them together with what I think they might have said, what I think they might have done. But I know the outcome I know their actions, I know what they've done, I know how it all ended up, so to speak. And so I think knowing the people, I think I've got it fairly right. And so I'd say what's drawn from true events would be probably 60%, 70% of the book. Because the stories are all true.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. What do you hope readers take away from the book? What do you hope they learn about themselves or the outback or life and about or philosophy?
Well, I think um, just to enjoy the book.
Hmm.
It's a lovely thing to read, I think. Just to enjoy the book and to learn a little bit about the Australian bush and and that era, that
Hmm.
time, when the I think when I came in, the depression was just about over because we were very slow here in Australia to recuperate from the depression. So um, I think I've shown some of the hardships and um, some coping skills,
Mm.
and to not lose sight of the fact that we need each other, you know, and just basically to take away a book that you're more glad you read than not glad. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just enjoy it for what it is.
Mm.
I don't use. I try not to use my books to moralise or advise or anything else. It's just a plain story about people who and what they did and how they coped
Mm.
and uh, how they helped one another.
Yeah.
So, and I want to tell Wally's story because he did bring um, warmth where there was cold,
Mm.
where people were hungry. He tried to feed them. He did his best, and he always left people better for knowing him. And
Yeah.
that's what he always endeavoured to do. So just to take away from it, just how things were, and of course, Mary the Shanty was written. I think I've said before, set in the Depression and the Dust Bowl here in Australia, and of course, you had the same problem in America. You know, the Depression and after the war years and
Yeah.
before the war years and during the war years. Yeah, so and how they stuck together, helped one
Mm.
another,
Yeah.
and found joy, found beauty. That's the thing, isn't it? Is because the Australian bush is a truly inspirational place,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
so that's where I got my inspiration. As I said, I wanted to write stories about. I'm not sure whether I was writing about ordinary people doing extraordinary things or extraordinary people doing ordinary things. A bit of both, I think.
Yeah. Wonderful,
I think
wonderful.
there's a bit of
Extraordinary people
both.
doing ordinary things or extraordinary people doing ordinary things. I think that's a great question
Yeah,
to pose. And I think Wally sounded like a great guy. And if he left people better for the knowing him, that's great. And that's a great lesson to learn as well. Always leave people better for just knowing you. The name of
yeah,
the book is Me and Matilda. It is a sweeping tale of life, love, and self-discovery set against the breathtaking backdrop of the Australian outback. Mary, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
thank you for having me on Spotlight. It's a pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you back on the show. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.